you're about, what, 10%, anywhere between 7 to 11% less likely to get work than before. Since, that's 2007. So you're 7 to 11% less likely to get work than you were in 2007. Who's getting work? Grandma. 70-year-old women are 17% more likely to get work. And what? Is that supposed to be a good thing? Hey, we got grandma working. She's not supposed to be working. How old are you when you graduate college? 20 to 24. I got that. All right, watch this. Watch this. College lending. In 2010, the federal government expanded its role to student loan marketing, making only direct loans instead of guarantees. So in the year 2011-2012, it issued 93% of all student loans. You can see how many of the loans were federal versus non-federal. Look at the debt outstanding. If you see credit card debt has kind of spiked up and then went back down, and now it's kind of gone back up a little bit. If you see the equity line, the home equity lines are also down from their highs. Auto loans have kind of gone up and down and back up. But what's the point of the slide? Look at that student loan. From $200 billion all the way up to almost $1 trillion. Now think about that for a second. If you were going to get into the loan business or the debt business, based on that graph, what debt would you want to get into? I want to look at that growth. That's a growth industry. It's a demand industry. And now the government runs a business. They run a student loan business. Now, let me ask you guys a question. If you owned a student loan business, what would you do to market your product? What would you do to market your product? What would you tell people to do? You would tell them to go to school. And what do you get? What do they get? What do they get when they go to school? Hey, you should go to school. What do you get? You get an 11% less likely chance of getting a job than before. See, here's the problem. We are in a situation where society and the government actually benefits from us going to school. But we all know that we are less and less likely to get work. So many people like myself are blindly following the kind of go to work, go to school, get great, get a job thing, blindly following it, even though the stats are increasingly against it. Now again, like before, I'm not telling you what's right or what's wrong. It's just a direction, right? So it's like north and south. But once you put a destination on it, and your destination is freedom, your destination is big money, then obviously there is a right and wrong answer. You've got to work for yourself. You've got to get into business. And here we have a bunch of middle-class America on a train heading for a cliff. What are we going to do about it? We've got the answer. We've got a way that they can come in and start enjoying the benefits of business ownership without taking a risk. They get to start part-time. They don't have to quit their job. They don't have to drop out of school. They learn a new craft. They work for themselves. They make extra income. And when they're ready, they get to come into business for themselves and make a big income, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $1 million a year if they want to. And they literally get to change and save their family forever. We have the answer for that. As these people are blindly following something that we all know hasn't been working for a long time. And again, it's only going to get worse. I don't want to be the doomsday, prepper, okay? But I'm telling you that there's only one way for this to go. And it's the same direction it's been going. There is not going to be any vote that we cast that ends up changing this. This is, the direction it's been going. And so it's funny because the reality of the situation, I was kind of talking to a buddy of mine, and he goes, well, Bret, not everybody's like you. Not everybody wants to build a business. And I looked right at him and I said, you're building a business. You're just not building your business. Remember when I said you've got to have a vision, you've got to have a purpose and a mission. I read a quote. They said, listen, if you're not, recruiting people to your vision and your mission, then you're going to get recruited to somebody else's vision and someone else's mission. A buddy of mine, he said, Bret, that's, when I showed that, he goes, yeah, but that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is, People work. Well, the reality is, no, that's not the way it always been. I mean, truth is, the employee phenomenon's a relatively new phenomenon in the free market system. I mean, most books praise the Industrial Revolution for the increase of employees and wage earners. Before that, we were all earning our own keep. And that's why the book, Wealth of Nations said, before, ownership, before, all the wage earners, the wage of the laborer was the fruits of his labor. Think about what that means for a second. If there was a time in America, if I went far enough west, I'd come across land. If I plowed the land, seeded it, watered it, nurtured it, and I grew corn, I get all the work. How much of the corn do I get to keep? All of it. But let's say now that Jeff owns the land. I go, I do the same work. I plow it, I seed it, I water it, I nurture it, I grow it. I do all the work. How much of the corn do I get to keep? Some of it. And who gets to decide how much corn? Right. So what that book said was after ownership, when you work for an owner, the wage of the laborer is less than the fruits of his labor. If you truly understand what that means, because what? How much of the work that I did all the work and I got some of the corn. How much work did Jeff do? None of the work, but he also got some of the corn. See, if owners want a piece of the pie for owning, it has to come from who? The workers. So what people don't realize, it's not improbable, it's impossible to get paid what you're worth if you're working for somebody else. It's not improbable, it's impossible, because the owner wants a piece for owning, which means he's taking part of the pie without contributing work. That means people that are contributing work are getting less of the pie. So when you work for somebody, it's not improbable, it's impossible to get paid what you're worth. And so going back to it, I'm sitting here trying to save as many people from the train. I say, please come on, help me out. And a lot of times they'll look at me like I'm the crazy one, and I say no. And I think, you know what? Sometimes, part of me comes up and I'm just thinking, what's the point? You know what? I've got, I can pretty much walk away from this thing. I've done pretty well with my money. I've saved money. I can walk away. What's the point of I'm saving some knucklehead 19-year-old that's giving me a hard time? I'm not going to do this crap. I'm not going to deal with this 19-year-old, And then I think about that story about the old man and the little girl. Which there's a lot of that here in Vegas, but and they're walking on the beach, right? And the little girl, there's a bunch of starfish on the ocean. You guys heard the story, right? And the little girl picks up one of the starfish, and there's like a million of them. And she throws it back in the water, and the whole guy goes, "What are you doing, little girl? You can't look at this. There's a million of them. You can't get all of them. They're going to die if they don't get to the water, and you can't get all of them in time. So what's the point?" And she picks up another one, she throws it into the water, and then he goes, "Little girl," he starts getting frustrated. "What are you doing? You're not going to be able to make a difference. As fast as you get to a handful of them, and then they're all going to die. What's the point?" And she picks up another one, throws it in. Now at this point, he's raving hot mad. He goes, "Little girl, stop! What's the point? You can't make a difference." And he pulls up that next one. She pulls up the next one, throws it in, and said, "I made a difference for that one." And so I realized that, you know what? Even if I just get one person off the train, if I get just one person to see the fact that they can get total and utter freedom, and then not only have success, but then go around and have significance as they start helping other people and teaching other people how to fish and giving them independence and freedom and having a life that means something and having significance. That's a big deal, and that's what keeps me pumped up and fired up. But you've got to find your why. Hey guys, I appreciate you letting me share. Love you guys.
recognition.